Hello and welcome back to another new edition of Windows on Current Affairs. And today, of course, like all Egyptians, we are commemorating the 49th anniversary, of course, of the October War and the 1973 war. Of course, Egyptians are rejoicing. They are taking a flashback 49 years ago and remembering how our brave armed forces grabbed victory in spite of all the challenges that were posed and that were being faked by our enemies back then at that time, and how all Arabs were united. It was a very strong spirit. It was such a pride to remember, and even the generations who did not attend or who did not live that memory, they know very well about it, and it is our duty to be able to relate those memories to our youngsters, to be proud of who we are, to be proud of our armed forces, to be proud of our patriotism, and to be proud of the Egyptian spirit, and how we kept our head up high for the rest of our lives, and we retained our dear land that was captivated and taken by our enemies and denied us the right to take it back. Of course, we took it by our by blood and tears and by our own with the iron fist, and we proved to the whole world that Egypt is strong enough and could never be defied our armed forces. Today we're going to be talking about the commemoration of the 49th anniversary of the October War victory, and also we're going to be talking about the economic developments that were taken and impacted over Sinai, and how have we transformed Sinai into a green economic area, how Sinai now is competing on a very on excellence and on a very developed level with the most developed cities economically when it comes to projects and investment and logistics and everything. We're going to be talking in that in detail and more, and very delighted to be having with us our dear guest, Dr. Mohamed Roshdy. He is an he's a banker expert and also economic expert and a lecturer at one of the prominent universities here in Egypt. Good evening, Dr. Mohamed. How are you doing?
Good evening. First of all, I would like to say good evening for you and our audience, and take the chance to congratulate the Egyptian citizen with great victory month memory.
Right. Of course, as we said, there isn't an Egyptian or non-Egyptian, even people who are located here in Egypt, who is not commemorating that glorious day today. I mean, that particular memory is holding a very, very special memory and a very special significance to all Egyptians. If you ask any Egyptian, they're going to ask you why. They're going to answer you why. It's a glorious memory. It's a very special. It brings pride also to us when we remember that in spite of all the challenges, we were able to cross to the other side and completely destroy the Bar-Lev line, the Bar-Lev wall. And of course, we know what happened later on, the consequences or the sequence of victories that followed. We want to rejoice together. We want to remember and take a flashback into that history.
First of all, I would like to start today with one of famous quotes for Nelson Mandela. Reconstruction goes hand in hand with reconciliation. In addition to one of the famous quotes for Abraham Lincoln, which is the best way is to predict the future is to create it actually. In my humble opinion, the decision of 6th of October war was one of the bravest decisions. Actually, it is a war that actually need all wars, that closed everything and helped us to gain our land and to do a lot of things and to use the peace tools and to negotiate with our enemy, but in a strong position. This is one of the crucial things. Actually, in my humble opinion, it was the most bravest decision that we did in the past, and it built our future actually. If we didn't take this decision, actually we will have a lot of issues, and we will not achieve our economic development and a lot of development in Sinai and across all Egypt actually. We have a lot of mega projects in Sinai, in Egypt overall, in addition to the economic reform. Actually nowadays Egypt is considered one of the most booming countries in terms of economy, in terms of investments, and one of the potential countries that can attract FDI. How this happened? Actually, one of the main things, this bravest decision, the war of 6th of October, in my humble opinion.
That is very true, and totally agree. All Egyptians would totally agree with what you illustrated, kindly illustrated to us in the beginning, but also talking that about development in Sinai in particular. In spite of the fact that we retained Tawa later on, after the peace agreement, after the October War, and also Sinai, we started setting plans to develop with it. But actually, during the earlier times of 10 years for 2 presidents, there wasn't enough or valid development in Sinai, to be honest. Talking about, with all the respect to President Sadat, of course, who brought that glorious victory and pride to Egypt, and again another phase for another president that followed, but there wasn't that effective required phase of development that we hoped for in Sinai. Sinai remained part of it as a hub somehow for terrorism. I mean, a previous period before President Sisi steps in. And it was a haven for, and there was the tunnels, and there wasn't any development to encourage or to set or scare those elements away. Ever since President Abdel Fattah Sisi set his foot in office, and it's almost not more than 6 years, and Sinai changed to a whole new level. He started setting plans, economic plans, bit by bit, and in a very, very quick phase, we could find Sinai a haven for economy, for investment, for attracting foreign investors. I mean, totally new image.
Actually, it comes to top of my mind. One of my international friends is saying that that President Abdel Fattah Sisi looks that he has a magic stick, actually. As you said, for different decades, actually, we didn't run with the same pace that President Abdel Fattah Sisi is running, actually, especially in Sinai. I would like to take you and our audience just in a nutshell the main projects, and I will go in details in each one to highlight what we are doing currently. We are building actually the new republic, and we are trying to benefit from our land, especially that we have a potential in this part, and we are focused only on 6% of our country. It doesn't make sense. Our land is great, and we have a big land, actually. We can benefit from it, and we can do a lot of things. One of the projects actually that the government is focusing on, mega projects, the housing projects, health projects, roads, bridge and tunnels, construction, seaports, education, water supply, the infrastructure, a lot of food security, actually, improvement of slum areas projects, public service project, development of Suez Canal zone projects. And if I go through those mega projects, especially if we would like to focus on Sinai, I would like to highlight a lot of projects, like, for example, uh, development projects, and in addition to Suez Canal projects, Suez government, hospitals, universities, mining, renewable energies. This is aligned with our sustainability or sustainable agenda for 2030. As you know, and our audience, and one of the most important things in our agenda for achieving the sustainability, what we are doing now. If I took you and our audience through our 2030 agenda, we have, as far as I recall, 8 objectives. One of them, improving the quality of life and standard of living for Egyptian citizens. And we did a great thing in this, like the program of Takaful and Karama, as far as I recall. And it also, today, as far as I recall, the Ministry of Social Solidarity announced that she involved and increased actually a lot of people from Sinai in this program. In addition to one of the objectives is social inclusion and engagement, in addition to the third objective, competitive and diversified economy, integrated and sustainable ecosystem, and governance of a state, in addition to Egyptian peace and security, strengthening Egyptian leadership. Those are our 2030 agenda, and we are trying to apply this in Sinai by creating, enhancing the infrastructure, trying to link Sinai with all of Egypt through the transportation, through the new roads, and a lot of mega projects. And this is positively impact us. And as you know that, and our audience, Sinai actually, it has a unique location. It links the African continent in addition to Asian continent. Actually, this is an edge for us, and it's like we can use it to best utilize this part a lot in terms of transportation, in terms of trading. Actually, for that, the government is focusing on this, especially through the Suez Canal projects and the infrastructure and creating renewable energies. And they are incentivizing a lot of people or investors to come to invest. They are motivating them through the new investment law, actually the new investment law, and in addition to the incentive that they are giving to bring FDI, in addition to the most important and significant part, the tourism part. Actually, Sinai is one of the best, in my humble opinion, one of the best touristic destination. I traveled a lot in a lot of countries. When I tell them that I'm an Egyptian guy, I'm coming from Egypt, they are saying the first thing they see, Sinai. It's a great destination. Accordingly, the government is focusing on it, and actually, I would like to give the credit to the current presidential leadership. Why? Because the pace of creating projects is totally different. From other presidents. Actually, the pace is quite speed. For that reason, currently we are bearing the fruits of this. You know that a lot of things. This is an addition that we have a lot of challenges. You and our audience, we couldn't just would love to take our breath from the COVID-19 pandemic. What happened? The Ukrainian and Russian war. And we didn't stop construction and reconstruction and development in this strategic place, as you know, and our audience. Actually, we are being fruits of this. It's reflected positively in FDI, the tourism income, in addition to the mega projects. We did a lot of mega projects in Sinai: construction, housing, hospital, universities, in addition to the renewable energies factories, solar power energy, a lot of things. Uh, Actually, I would like to share with you and our audience how is Sinai's potential and what is what's inside Sinai. Some statistics about Sinai, according to CAP Mass, peoples live in north of Sinai. They are around 4,500, and in south of Sinai, 1,000 and 1,100. Actually, they are over an area which is 6,000 kilometers, representing 6% of Egypt's total area. Accordingly, we have a great potential in this place. In addition to Sinai is an attractive area of investments, as I told you. It links the three continents, Africa, Asia, and Europe. It has promising opportunities in terms of industry, mining, tourism, agriculture, a lot of things, and the economy. And currently, we are trying to be the fruits of this.
Yes, of course. Talking about the projects, of course, we have seen the boom of infrastructural projects that was taken. I mean, that particular plan by linking all Egypt together through bridges and through infrastructural, plan that have, linked Egypt together. And also Sinai is included amongst that. So this was an introduction for what is coming. On the top of those projects is launching of 8 different projects and industrial zones on the map, the investment map, or the economic or the industrial investment map in particular, in addition to other 275 investment opportunities over that map. I want you to elaborate over the importance of these projects.
Actually, those projects are the most crucial projects to our country, and this positively will reflect on us. Actually, I would like to start with you that with one of the most important things why we are doing those projects. One of the most crucial things for those projects is to decrease the unemployment rate. Actually, if I took you and our audience, what was our unemployment rate if I return it back to 2013, for example, before the presidential election that President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi came through it, it reached, as far as I recall, 13.4. Nowadays, what's the unemployment rate? It almost decreased to be 7.3%. It's almost decreased to the half. Can you imagine what's going? Those one of the most important things. In addition to a lot of things like it reflected on our what they are calling the competitiveness of the country. There is a global report for competitiveness. The global report for competitiveness, Egypt rank it's enhanced, as far as I recall, 20 places to be among in 2020 to be 82 among 141 countries. In addition to a lot of things, that one of the crucial things that the CBE reserve enhanced a little bit before the latest crisis. Actually, nowadays, as far as I recall, the CBE reserve reached to $33 billion, and it was $19 billion. This is one, and as you know, and our audience, the CBE reserve is one of the most important things and strategic strategic security for us, because when we have a crucial need to import strategic commodities like wheat or something like that, we can count on it. For that reason, it helped us to build this one. In addition to actually the inflation rate, it reached in 2016, after the devaluation, as far as I recall, it reached more than 30%, and it decreased to reach 5%. And nowadays, due to what's happening globally, the Ukrainian and Russian war, what's happened? It reached to 13.4, 13.5% actually. This is one of the most important things. And without the economic reform and a lot of things and the mega projects and the infrastructure that helped us to get FDI and the incentive for getting FDI and the new investment law, a lot of things, we couldn't face the global pandemic, in addition to the Ukrainian and Russian war negative impact. You can see, and our audience easily, what's happening globally. They are calling WhatsApp, not the WhatsApp, it's WhatsApp. This is the informal language in USA. They are calling it WhatsApp. Despite WhatsApp globally, there's a crisis. Everything increased.
Of course, there is a global crisis because of the military confrontation between Russia and Ukraine. And it has impacted everywhere, not only, I mean, Egypt is the least impacted.
I do agree with you. For example, if I took only two commodities, the fuel or the oil and the wheat, two strategic commodities, what's happened? As far as I recall, in May 2021, the price for wheat, wheat ton, which reached to 2,237 in May 2022, this year, it reached to 437. The fuel also increased to reach, as far as I recall, it was $67 per barrel. Actually, it reached to $112, $120. This is globally. What's happened to Egypt? Actually, we have a solid base, and we acted slowly but surely, and the government didn't transfer this increase directly to the consumer. We can see that all central banks globally, the federal increased the interest rate, the pricing, the inflation increased, and a lot of countries globally. In Egypt, due to the economic reform, due to the strategic vision for our government and presidential leadership, we are actually moving in front of this and in a solid base, actually, and we are trying to not let the Egyptian citizen bear all those things. The government still subsidize a lot, or support, can I tell you, support low-income people through a lot of initiatives like Takaful and Karama, a lot of things. For that reason, Egypt, I believe we are on the right track, and this is not my opinion. If we can globally check how the globe see Egypt, we can find this through the credit risk agencies, that they are telling that Egypt has a good rank, in addition to the global institution, in addition to the IMF. They are trusting us, and we are working to take another loan from them. How they can provide us a loan without we are on the right track? Actually, we did a lot of great things. Egypt, I believe, on the right track. This is by all globally, a lot of countries and institutions, they are confirming that due to the economic reform, due to the actually the infrastructure, enhancing and developing the infrastructure, education. The education part, one of the most important thing, in my humble opinion. If you would like to build a country, you have to focus in education and health. And currently, we are increasing the budget of education and opening universities and schools across the country, especially in Sinai and universities, in addition to the new health system that the government is working on it.
Right. And also adding to that, as we are already on the final countdown to one of the world's most major events, which is the COP27, expected to be held in the Red Sea resort of Sharm el-Sheikh, a great deal of climate change is caused by economic greed and the malpractice of the world economies, throwing their leftovers in the oceans, and you know, the outburst of their industrial activities, and we know, of course, and the idea of calling for a clean environment and a green economy and less carbon emission, and all that is very much on the table, because this is one of the first and foremost of the 17 goals of sustainable development. A great deal of those instructions are already implicated. It's implicated on Sharm el-Sheikh and on most of the Red Sea resort, the cities on the Red Sea resort, including Sinai also and Suez Canal, in order to attract clean investment. And there are rules that are going to be set to regulate the investment process that could cope with a green economy. If you like to elaborate over this.
Actually, I would like to comment on this with one of the famous quotes about sustainability, which actually we are not inherit the earth from our ancestors. We are borrowing it from our children. For that reason, we have to keep it. Actually, Egypt is focusing on this part. We started to issue green bonds. This is a positive signal that we are on the right track and we are focusing on this. In addition to one of the most important objectives in our 2030 vision or agenda, which is the sustainability part. Sustainability in terms of actually to have a green environment, financial sustainability. For that reason, actually, we are focusing to have cashless society, part of the financial sustainability. In addition to a lot of initiatives, it ended up that the world recommended Egypt to host the COP27. Actually, this is, we can say it loudly, that the globe is trust Egypt, that we are focusing on this part, and we have a lot of initiatives, especially in Sinai. You know, to have a touristic place, you have to keep it green. You have to keep it clean. They are calling it.
You have to keep it safe, environmentally safe
environment.
Also.
Thank you. Thank you for your point. Actually, how we can do this? Through the sustainability part. For that reason, we focus as a presidential leadership government on this part to achieve our strategic goals. In my humble opinion, I describe the Egyptian economy. It will be a tiger economy in coming couple of years. Why the international economists saying tiger economy? because when a tiger is trying to get a victim, he is running from back quickly to catch it. But he catch it and he do it, and I'm quite sure we will nail it.
Right. Of course, on this note, very optimistic note, of course, Dr. Mohamed Roshdy, would like to thank you so much. You are a banker expert. You are also a lecturer at one of the prominent universities in Egypt. Thank you very much for coming over.
Thank you for you and our audience, and for the program team for this nice host.
Thank you very much, sir. And I guess this would bring us to the end of this edition of Windows on Current Affairs. Many thanks to all of you. Until we see you again next week, that's a goodbye.